Welcome to Podcrushed. I'm joined by my co-hosts Nava Kaplan and Sophie and Nava. Welcome. How are you both today?
Hot. We are in the dog days of summer.
Hot, H-O-T, or hot, H-A-W-T?
Unfortunately, H-O-T. It is the dog days of summer. But I do want to know, do you guys have a summer jam? Like a song that, you like to listen to every summer?
I prefer strawberry, although if the toast is extra crispy, I think I like raspberry.
This should be a fall song, but I really love the song September. And just that first, do you remember? I just start around May. I start playing September.
Really?
Yeah.
Prepping.
And it gets me through the summer. Yeah. And then I think in September, I stop playing it.
You're you have to remember, I've got to remember, I gotta remember.
Yeah. That's my summer jam.
The
September.
first song that came to mind when you asked that was Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts. I don't know if I listen to it so much, but it always is on the tip of my tongue. I'll sing it.
The song that came to mind because I was talking about actual jam is a brilliant song, actually, truly one of my favorite songs. And if I think about it, it's a very
Is it Welcome to the Space Jam?
No, not at all. It's Starfish and Coffee by Prince. It's Starfish and Coffee, maple syrup and a jam.
Perfect.
Wow, I don't think I've ever heard that song.
If I remember correctly, it's on oh God, what record is it on? It used to be my favorite, Sign of the Times, I believe. Yes, it is, 1987. And it's a great song. It's a really good song.
Wow. I have to look that one up. You know who else is great? Our guest
who
today
else has a lot of jams?
Yes,
International pop star, Candice King.
Today we have actually an old friend of mine, Candice King, an actor you may know and love from her time playing Carolyn Forbes on the CW's The Vampire Diaries, as well as the originals, and then films like Juno and Dead Girl. So she's got a new show called We Were Liars, which is streaming now on Prime, based on a book. It's a huge success, I think. Let's be honest. We know what to call it. It was a great time having Candice back in the sphere for a bit on the pod. She's now an old friend of the pod already. You're gonna love this one. Stick around. Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Nava.
And I'm Sophie.
And I think we could have been your middle school besties.
Coordinating our outfits to match our mood rings.
So what we do here, we start at 12 years old because we believe it's a really special time of life. It's the formative years in so many ways for so many reasons.
Oh, God.
So just give us a sense of who you were at 12,
Okay.
how you were seeing the world, and what was day-to-day life like.
At 12, I'm like, that's middle school, right? Yes, I had a girl group, and we were named Girl Zone.
You mean
And-
a girl singing group?
Yep, we were in multiple years into the group, and we would perform at the convention center during anywhere that my mother or my vocal coach could slide us in.
Wow.
And my whole life was music. So I guess at 12 I was taking dance classes, and I was out of my competitive cheerleading phase, which I'm sure my mother was very happy about. And I was just really focused on becoming an international pop star. One Girl Zone rehearsal at a time.
Wow. Did you enjoy Girl Zone? Did it feel like the dream come true, or was it really hard work?
It was very hard work. We were doing cover songs of the Spice Girls, and but with also some throwbacks, singing Lollipop, different. We were mixed genres. No, it was a very funny thing. I desperately want to get my hands on these videos of me as a kid.
Yeah, you have to.
I know.
Really?
We would.
You don't feel like you would just, cringe and die?
I would, but also I cringe and die more at my 19, the years that I would have known you as my cringe and die years. 12, I give her a lot we
Oh, that's sweet. That's nice.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
But I know I was really happy. We would perform at all these cheesy places, and I was just constantly like singing and dancing and just and I love those. I'm like, what was that? This was post, millennium. The music was so great. Like these were some solid, fun years. I didn't have braces yet. I think I had a herpes appliance, which I don't know if anyone
What's
ever had
that?
one of those.
Is it the
It's where you
headgear?
it's like internal headgear. So it's like a hinge of metal inside your mouth to help realign your bite.
Oh
So
my
if I like
gosh.
yawned too big in class, my mouth would get like stuck open, like,
Oh my God.
So yeah, she just was a 12-year-old Floridian in her girl group, girl zone, just trying not to sing or yawn too loudly and taking life one day at a time.
It makes sense because in Florida, I feel like so much of the those like Mandy Moore, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, all of this stuff was kind of coming out of Florida, right? Lou Pearlman, that was kind of his like terrain. But looking into you and your family, if the internet is to be trusted, it sounds like your dad is a thoracic heart surgeon. Your mom was like an environmental engineer. And I'm curious how they felt about like a budding performer, Candice.
Yes, my mom worked for many years as an environmental engineer, and then shifted to being a stay-at-home mom when my brother was born. And my dad is still. He says he's retiring this year. We have yet to see it, but he's a cardiovascular surgeon. So, he like actually saves lives. So whenever I'm like, this is not that high stress. Like, I can get through today. I'm like, his job is actually stressful. For both of them, they grew up in the Midwest. Neither of them, for what my mom went on to do in the 80s and not only like pay her way through college and also help support my dad as he was paying his way through medical school. Like their version of becoming a singer or a pop star was the fact that my mom was an engineer and my dad was a doctor. So they were supportive from day one, and are still that way. I'm very, very grateful.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I know, I always look back and I go, that's really cool. Of course, there are different things where I'm like, wow, they were really, it was a different time, like I moved to LA when I was 16. I was like
Alone?
very young. My mom came with me and then started traveling back and forth until I was 18. But I mean, I was a kid in a very adult business. But they luckily like trusted me and believed in me enough. I don't think they ever anticipated the pivot into acting. They were terrified when I mentioned that. And when I told them, like, I booked a pilot and it's like this vampire show, they were like, do you need to come home? Like they were very concerned. And then now, like all these years later, I mean, I don't know. I feel like even last summer I was like, I'm filming a show. And they're like, are you okay? Do you need help?
That's so funny.
And then I'm like, no, but it's with Julie. They're like, oh, okay. They know Julie. They're like, now, okay, our baby girl's fine. She's fine.
I heard you say as an adult, you feel like the mom of your friend group sometimes. And I was curious if that has any, like, did you see seeds of that in your middle school self as well? Was that showing up?
I think, the only way that might show up is I feel like people usually, I would travel with my parents a lot as a kid. So I was very young in a lot of like very grown up places in the sense that it'd be like nice dinners and nice meals. And I'd usually kind of be left to myself to like, I'd shake hands, but I found it all to be quite boring. So I'd usually, if we were at like a restaurant that had a piano player, I would go and like ask the piano player to like, hey, play the song so I can sing, or like, hey, bartender, give me another Shirley Temple. So, everyone gave the like, you're very mature for your age, but I guess the mom in the friend group is also just a little bit. Now I'm thinking probably from being, even though Florida isn't the South, but like I am still like the person who plans the itinerary. Like I said earlier this morning, I was already on the phone with the hotel that I'm going to for the wedding this weekend just to confirm like what is close by. I've already emailed my friend's wedding planner just to check on the itinerary of the shuttle service. Like I'm type A in that way that, yes, I can kind of mom people a little bit. I'm very concerned about everyone wearing sunscreen, stuff like that.
I am the youngest daughter in my family, and I've been seeing now a lot about eldest daughters of youngest daughters, what that's like to to have to be the eldest daughter of someone who was not at all type A, who was taken care of their whole life. And I'm so scared for my daughter. I feel so bad for her, what her life is going to be like.
Oh, she's got it. I know it is. The birth order thing is very funny. I see it so clearly in my daughters and then their older sisters who I've known since they were 7 and 9. You know, the oldest would always be there on time, like always like check before she leaps. And whereas like the younger one would just like leap off the monkey bars and expect someone to be there to catch her. And more often than not, someone would show up to get someone was there. One of us was there.
Yeah.
And I even see that with my 9-year-old and my 4-year-old now, where I'm just like, oh yeah, she is just leaping off the stairs. And we all, it is very funny. But yes, I am like a very typical eldest child that, you know, kind of takes care of a lot of things.
Yeah.
That makes me curious about your little brother and your relationship with him. And this is maybe like I don't know if it's a weird question, and I've never asked anyone before, but I'm curious, was he ever embarrassed when you went into performing? Like, I can just picture a little brother being like, oh my God, this is so weird that my sister's doing this. And I'm wondering if there was any of that.
Yeah, I think probably there might be some of that. You know, we are two very, very different people, and we've had two very different kind of, you know, walks through life. And so I think it is difficult when you have someone in the family that is more visible publicly. And I think it could be, I mean, I see it even with my own kids now. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, this is cool and fun, and we get to do this really fun activity.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then other times it just feels like a lot, I guess. So I would imagine it felt like that for him. But I don't know. Yeah. Family dynamics, man.
You know, my 4-year-old says when people, because, you know, I'm going through a phase where you know, in New York City, and I'm quite recognizable. It does happen quite a lot. And, you know, I'm with him all the time outside. And so that is a really interesting management thing for life that we'll learn about. But in the last 6 months, he's just started to, you know, become more vocal in general, obviously. And he's just like noticing things. And I can't remember exactly when it was. Like, it might have been as many as 6 months ago. And developmentally at this age, that's like a lifetime. But somebody had come up, taken a picture, and I had been in the habit of saying, well, those are friends. I would try to ask them their name, and he would ask who they are, and I'd be like, well, that was Chris and Amanda.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I stopped doing that after a while because it was like, I think it seemed maybe disingenuous or something. But then he just, you know, people often say like, oh, I love you, you know, which you think about it is like to a child, they're
Yeah.
love you. And then I remember we're walking in the stroller, and he just goes, why do people love you so much? and I don't remember what I said, but I just thought, man, this is going to be really interesting as we progress.
Yeah, it is an interesting dance. I know I've definitely gotten, you know, she'll ask like, well, why doesn't anyone want it? So my 9-year-old got to be in an episode of like the Vampire Diaries trilogy. So the third and final spinoff was called Legacies. And my character was still alive, and I got to go back and be part of the final episode. And part of the spinoff is, if you don't watch the show, my character was pregnant in the Vampire Diaries and gave birth to twins. And so this final show, The Legacies, is about these twins and other kids from the other shows that all go to this magical school. And so I got to go and like be a part of the final episode of it. And I asked, like, you know, our writers and producers who I'm also dear friends with at this point, if my 9-year-old could come be in it, because, you know, Julie Plec always likes to joke that, you know, Candice had a baby and I got a spinoff. This was like the gift we gave each other. And so she got to go be in it. So she's in like one of the final shots of the show,
Wow.
you know, because she was the whole reason that they even wrote twin babies, because I threw them for a loop being like, surprise, I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yes. So, but she gets upset when we're out and she's like, do they not recognize me from Legacies? She's like, Mom, I got paid. Like I was in the show.
I'm the reason for it.
I'm the whole reason for it.
That is so funny.
Yeah. No, it's like, I think they're too intimidated, babe. That's why. Yeah.
Candice, you're here in part to promote a show called We Were Liars, and it made me curious. What is the craziest lie, if you recall, that you ever told in middle school or high school that you got caught telling?
Oh, God. I'm like, I'm trying to think in high school or middle school. I know I definitely I feel like lying to my dad. I think there was a night that I was coming home from a party, and I had a friend who was a very big track runner. So she was always designated driver, which turned out great for irresponsible little old me. And so she was driving home, and I was already supposed to be home. And my dad was literally driving in front of us. And I think I had her park so we could sneak into the house as if he didn't see. And I pretended to be sleeping. But a lot of yeah, I'm just at, Kim's house down the street. And I know one. My parents were selling their house. And I remember after prom one year, my friends and I, we didn't even have a party. We weren't even cool enough to get invited a party, but the three of us went back to my parents' house and stayed there. And we were
after it was empty.
Yeah, empty house. And now I look back being I wonder if they sold it. And people were the fact that no one just walked in to move their stuff in. I don't know. I was pretty good back in my Florida days.
Good.
It was really things got a little spicy, but when I got to LA, but it was still very fun. I was pretty good as a teenager.
That's cute. That is literally a storyline from The Summer I Turned Pretty. They go after the house is sold. Yeah. And they stay in the house. Yeah. They took that from you.
Well, that's because they did. They knew this long journey of, all these years later, my secret's out.
You're birthing giant series everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one baby and lie at a time. Yep.
One of the biggest changes I've made in my 30s is taking my health seriously. I've started paying attention to how my body actually feels every day, right? Right, because you have to, especially into your later 30s. You just start to feel things that you didn't feel before. One thing that I've got now that is never going to change is probably my gut. It plays a huge role in everything: my energy, my mood, and my immunity. Whether or not I'm going to get sick or catch one of the colds from one of my little children. And I know I'm not alone. 2 out of 3 Americans say they suffer from digestive issues, and 95% of Americans don't get the daily recommended amount of fiber. That is a lot of Americans. Olipop is tackling both of these issues with a drink that tastes just like soda. Olipop has 9 grams of prebiotic fiber, that's a very good thing, in every can that can help support your digestive health. They've even conducted a study that showed that their OliSmart formulation boosts beneficial gut bacteria and generates metabolites supporting digestive and overall health. The short of the long is that when you drink this thing, it feels really good, not only tasting good. So Olipop comes in a lot of delicious, nostalgic flavors. They've got vintage cola, sort of like a classic cola, classic root beer, orange squeeze, classic grape, strawberry vanilla, cream soda, and cherry cola. My personal favorites are the classic root beer and the cream soda. It's I can't describe it. They have this incredibly rich, sweet flavor. Honestly, it's kind of hard to believe that it's something that's good for you, that's healthy. But, I'm attuned to my body. I've been sober for a long time. I feel when something is good, and this stuff feels and tastes really good. Get a free can of Olipop. Buy any 2 cans of Olipop in store, and we'll pay you back for 1. Works on any flavor, any retailer. drinkolipop.com/podcrushed. Olipop is sold online at drinkolipop.com and Amazon, and available in almost 50,000 retailers nationwide, including Costco, Walmart, Target, Publix, Whole Foods, Krueger, and H-E-B. Have you ever used a website platform and given up because you couldn't get the site to look how you wanted? Well, call me a nerd, but I have. I definitely have. Some platforms have very strict templates where you can't break the mold. Quite literally, Wix.com gives you the freedom to build exactly the site you want for any business idea. Wix puts incredible website creation at your fingertips. With their AI site builder, you answer a few questions and get a personalized, business-ready site very fast. Do you prefer to start from a template? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Wix offers over 2,000 designer-made templates that are fully customizable and come with out-of-the-box business functionality. The Wix.com interface is super easy and fun. It's all drag and drop. There's an amazing AI image studio and tons of really, really great creative design effects. If you're looking to sell products or services, schedule appointments, any of that kind of stuff, Wix.com also has you covered with built-in solutions, no add-ons required. Wix has been pioneering in website tech for almost 20 years now. These guys seriously understand web design and what it takes to run your own business. Ready to create your own website? Go to Wix.com, that's Wix.com, to start building your website today. Thanks to Wix for sponsoring our show.
I am curious. This is either it's possibly a very bad, dumb question, and you may have been asked it a lot. But having spent so much time on a series where you're playing a vampire, I know just as well as anybody. After a while, you're not thinking about it necessarily so deeply, but surely over the years, what do you feel like the archetype of the vampire is a meditation on, or what was it for you? Like, what did it mean to be playing? Because I mean, like a vampire archetype is something that clearly means so much to people in certain ways, and I'm just curious. Like, did you have any of that? Did you care about vampires before that? And then B, what did you start to think about vampires once you had to like dig into that?
I mean, at that point, I was like, vampires mean job security. No, I'm like, it was like they were everywhere.
Love vampires.
Yes, every question season 1 was, but why vampires? And I think the answer is still true to this day. I think they're sexy and they don't they're ageless. They're meant to be mysterious. Like it's obvious in the physical act of it's obviously like more of like a dominating person and a submissive person. There's like the physical act of like teeth and skin. So it's a very sexy genre. And I had never been much of a person that watched vampire shows. I watched like the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the movie, but I never watched the show. And but after all these years, I love that people love. Luckily, I got to play like a new vampire, so it was very fun. I am grateful looking back because even then, when I would get at working on a show for 8 years, Penn, we were 22, 23 episodes a season, so it was every week. It was your whole life, and you play the same character, and you're in the same sets, and it's great because it does start to feel like the cadence of it becomes the job, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it can be a little boring for some, I'm sure. I never felt bored. We got to do stunts, and some people got to do flashbacks, and we just it was always just a lot of really fun like what's going to happen at work today. I mean, we had wolves at one point. That was scary. The wolves was a whole other thing.
You had actual wolves? You
They
had to
didn't
deal with actual
last
wolves?
very long. Yes, there were some. But yes, going to work one day and you just hear like, ow, and, like pulling up to the trailers being like, oh God. And it's like, I just remember they had like a fence behind the whole camera crew, like an electric fence. And
Oh my God.
and then I was supposed to be in a jail. And of course, it's a prop, so everything's made of like plastic and styrofoam. And
Oh my
then
God.
they like bring in the wolf, and they like, and I'm supposed to be behind it, and with like the wolf snapping and growling at me, and they're like with like meat, and it's like hungry, and they're like, just be okay. So we're gonna get this real fast. Just you're real scared. I was like, we are past the acting now. This is who we are. This is a documentary. So just roll the tape.
That's one of the inconsistencies of our industry where actors
my
can be
God.
coddled beyond all reason. They like won't let you do something. It's like, guys, I'm stepping off of a chair. Okay, I'm stepping off of a chair. I don't have to be wired to the whatever. But then something like that will happen, and you realize like I'm in a form of mortal danger. and it's just and now okay, all right,
Oh yeah. Oh, we
Many-
had explosions and burning of everything. We had things all the time, car crashes, and so it was never. Definitely wasn't boring. So while I might not have like gone into filming the Vampire Diaries, being a vampire genre fan, I truly look back on those years as some of my favorite. And I know that I'm like, that's the top. I mean, we were like a whole family. It was really fun and special.
We're definitely going to come back to the Vampire Diaries, but we do have a few more questions we want to ask you about middle school. And also we want to ask you about your sort of foray into pop stardom. But we have a couple of classic questions that we ask everyone. I want to know about your first like big crush or infatuation or puppy love and your first heartbreak.
Yes. Well, real life, but I mean, before real life, it was Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Of course,
and
JTT.
Devin Sawa.
Oh my God, Devin Sawa. I still think about Casper sometimes. I was actually thinking about it 3 days ago, that ending. I
mean, I
that
think it was
ending.
everyone's sexual awakening at
Yeah,
that point.
definitely.
Like, who knew that a ghost could be? I mean, screw
Wasn't it-
vampires. We need to talk about cartoon ghosts.
Exactly.
Put Christina Ricci in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that
And
was
she got to kiss him twice.
Yeah.
I
She
was
got to
and
kiss
then.
him in that. And
now
she got
then.
to kiss him in Now and Then.
Yeah.
And we all slowed down now and then inappropriately when they were running in their towels. Did we not? Ladies, am I right?
For sure. Yeah.
That's it. That's if you know, you know. And if you don't know, don't ask because it sounds really creepy
Really
coming
don't.
out of my mouth at this age.
Well, no,
Oh,
technically
I
they
was
were,
younger.
they were older men then for you.
Then, yes, then it was like they were older. Now,
Yeah.
please, be mindful of how this conversation is presented. But yeah, that was like my first like celebrity crush. And then my first real crush was a kid named Nick Trolka. And it was first grade. And I like drew a heart around his picture and I showed him in the yearbook. And it did not go well because he
Wow.
was in first grade. And that's very scary for like a 6 or 7-year-old boy being like, I don't know. But I was always boy crazy as a
Aw.
kid. Yeah. And first heartbreak, I'm like, what was my probably like I had a boyfriend, like my first little boyfriend when I was like in 6th grade, Charlie Bales. I always loved the double name. Like what was your double name boyfriend, girlfriend person from? Like I love a good double name in middle school.
You
or
mean
high
like the
school.
name has to be 2 first names?
Yeah, or you never just say like one name,
Oh,
you say like
yeah.
the whole name.
I think I only have one of those, and it was just the first and only. It's a Kayla Peterson.
That's a great
That's
double
a good
name.
Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
one. That's like from a movie. Yeah.
Mhm.
My first crush was a boy named Giancarlo Ortega. Yeah.
Also amazing.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is Nathan Huney, which is not a good.
Nathan
It's not like
Huney.
it's kind of like eh. But he was like the kid. You know, we've talked about this before. Like, there's these boys that are just very regular, but somehow they've attracted all of the girls. That was Nathan Huney.
He had the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the kids
Hardcore.
say these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Our other question that we ask everybody is if you have any embarrassing stories from that time, from adolescence.
Oh God, I feel like my whole adolescence was embarrassing, even though it was. I don't know. I feel like I should. I know my daughter last night was asking me for like embarrassing stories.
She was. That's cute.
So you're saying we have the same interests as your 9-year-old?
Yes. Yeah. She also eats edamame that's already been eaten by other people without realizing it. So a lot of same.
Synchronicities.
Oh man, I feel like I need to do like there's got to be something. You know those people that just like remember everything from their childhood. Like I really feel like I need to go back. And I know one embarrassing thing that I used to do. As I roll my eyes. But I used to watch like TV. I still joke is my best friend. Like I love TV. And I loved it as a kid too. And I used to like steal things that I'd see from TV shows and like say it in real life. Like so like I stole like my first kiss. I saw like on Seventh Heaven, like Simon like counted down like 3, 2, like whatever Simon said for his first kiss in Seventh Heaven. I 100% in 6th grade like said word for word. like
Aw.
during my first kiss. I think I even stole like something from like The Family Man, like the Nick Cage movie. That's very like just random weird things where I'd be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna slip in this line. They'll never
Yeah.
know, and they'll think I'm so interesting and
Yeah.
cool." So that feels embarrassing.
It's also very
I don't think it
endearing.
work.
No, that's
That's
very sweet.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just prepping for what my career was to become.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does actually sound like you were in love with movies and TV. I mean,
TV for
TV's
sure. Don't bring me to a movie trivia. I'm
Mm.
terrible, but TV,
Yeah.
I'll crush.
So like to get from Florida 12, 13, 14, you're pursuing this pop music career. And
Yes.
and I mean, it was like, I think it sounds like it was serious.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you're pursuing it. Like, did you want to go to LA? And when did you finally do that?
Yeah, I was I did everything I could. My parents were very supportive, so I made this demo and my dad very sweetly, would send it to anyone he knew. So if he went on a medical meeting and found out that someone's brother's uncle's nephew worked at like a record label, he would send my demo to them.
Sweet.
And very sweet. And my demo got sent to basically someone at DreamWorks that might have ended even up in the trash, and an accountant picked it up, an accountant / manager. But he was actually contacted my parents and was like the perfect person that connected me from point A to point B. And I got to work with a wonderful person named Sandy Roberton. And Sandy managed all like the top writers and producers of the time and actually signed me to a development deal. And I was just then turning 16. So that was my first like, all right, my parents said, we'll go to LA for a couple of months. And I had the opportunity to write with The Matrix, who were huge at the time. Like anyone who was writing like all the hits on the radio, I was able to get in the room with them, and it was such a gift. And so I made a demo and another demo, and Sandy brought me around and to a few labels, and I got signed. So within 6 months of kind of this trial period of being in LA, I got signed to Maverick Records, and my parents were like, all right, I guess we're doing it. I got a record deal and a publishing deal all before my 17th birthday.
Wow.
Wow. Did it feel like, okay, this is what I want to do forever? Like, how did it feel at the time? Was it exciting or stressful?
It was so exciting. And again, like, kind of what we were speaking to before, Penn, like when you're there in LA, especially at that time, everyone was like, anyone I knew was just like working. You could go down to like the Oakwoods and it's like the Duffs are there, and between you see Hillary or Haley Duff. You would go, my first boyfriend was like was acting on Seventh Heaven at the time. Full circle, very funny.
Yeah.
And then and I was like friends with Brittany, and so I'd go to her set when she's like, everyone was just like living this dream version of their life. And so when that happened, I definitely was like, this is it. And then I would get a very big crash course in the music industry, of course. And this was when a lot of things were changing as far as like financially within the industry and streaming, with iPods. And so my story is not unique in the sense that I got there, I got signed, and then by the time my record was made, there wasn't a lot of traction within the label, but they keep the record, and by the time I'm 18, I get dropped, and it was devastating. But I also learned at that time, well, what if maybe this isn't what I'm meant to do? What if there's something else I'm supposed to do? And I had auditioned a little bit with acting, but I didn't even know if that was my career trajectory. It really was after I ended up working as a backup singer for a year. So I went on tour as a backup singer, and it was for Miley Cyrus when she was doing the Best of Both Worlds Hannah Montana tour. And I went, that's an international pop star. I get it now. Like that makes sense. Like I got to live out my pop star dreams and like be on a stage in stadiums and like for sold out crowds. And it didn't need to be for me. And it was just the coolest thing ever. And by the time I got back, I was like, I think I'm going to give this acting thing a try. TV's my best friend. I love it. That'd be so cool to be on one of those like WB shows. And then crazy enough.
Candice, I listened to your episode. You have a podcast called Super Bloom, and I listened to your episode with Bonnie McKee. And I really appreciate it. I mean, I felt like you were both really open, really vulnerable. And there was a moment in the conversation when you talked about how you've kind of struggled, particularly in LA, with this feeling of like everybody's sizing you up for like your social value, your social currency, and how you've had to have these conversations with yourself of like, the moment when like you do get something, kind of having to like have a reckoning with your ego, but also like not appraising yourself or apprising yourself for who someone else thinks you are. And I was just a little bit curious, like how that journey is going for you.
Very well. I think this industry can keep everyone pretty humble if you let it. And also I think it's, I love visiting LA. As I got older and had kids, I just didn't feel like that was, where I needed to be, even though I respect and love that as an industry town. A huge part of that, I think, also comes from the fact that the most success I ever found was in Atlanta, Georgia. And it wasn't a flashy existence. We weren't filming down there, and, there wasn't this like red carpet aura of like life down there. It was, we would all film until we'd always have Fraturdays, which is like a late Friday night into Saturday morning. And collectively as a cast and a crew, most Fridays, we'd all be like, can we all be done so we can go like to our favorite wine bar? And we hung out every single weekend. And I'm still close with a lot of those crew members and cast members. And so the job was the job, and it was just like a cherry on top that people even watched it. But it also gave me like my, first feeling of like in adulthood, like a job that let me feel like breathe financially for a bit, like, and have like consistent rent. And like those were the successes and the big wins. And I think now it's just like I love the job. I loved even last summer being back on a set. It had been a minute, and I loved being out at like 3 a.m. on a dock that would not stop rocking, and I'm in heels, and it's very, very cold, and we're just trying to get the shot. But there's something magical about a group of people who collectively come together to make a thing, and you all need each other to make it. And so like once I figured all of that out, and with age and the other stuff is just fun. It's fun to celebrate the things, but I also know like that's not the end all be all. Like like having being able to like pick up my kids from school and do fun things with them, and also them get to see mommy like work like on a set. I think that those are all wins, but all the other stuff is just like, the silly fun stuff. Can you tell I'm too caffeinated today? I'm sorry. I'm just like,
No, it's great.
like, are we in
You're doing
therapy?
great.
Is my therapist on this call? Jeez Louise.
Feel free to stop us, if you feel like we're digging
No,
too deep.
I'm
but,
just like, I talk a lot. Yes, if you can't
That's
tell.
great.
We have guests sometimes who talk way more,
Yeah.
way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're really hitting the sweet spot. Don't worry
Thank
about it.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been working on it with my therapist, so it's great. It's going well.
Well, why don't we talk about the Vampire Diaries? I mean, we did get into it a little bit, but who was your favorite scene partner to film with?
Oh, it changed all the time. Michael Trevino, who played Tyler, is like my brother. And so it was always so fun until we had to make out, and then it got weird. Like Penn, you guys were all together for a long time. Did you all have to? I made out with everybody. Like, and as the years go on, it progressively gets weirder because you all know each other so well.
I feel differently about it now, where I wouldn't want to spend a series doing that, but in my 20s, and just because it was the job, I have to say it was like it was, I suppose it's so weird that you just make it not weird, and then it's not weird, I mean,
Yes.
that was kind of my experience of it. Is like, all right, well, that's what we all do, right? We're
I
actors.
simply cannot imagine. Like, I'm trying, as you guys are talking, I've actually never really let myself think about this, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
imagine what I would do if I just like plopped onto a set and had to kiss somebody. I literally cannot imagine.
But
like,
here's the thing. With
that
the
feels like middle school.
stranger, yes, with the stranger though, all right, it's weird.
No, yeah, with a
but
friend,
also,
like,
but with a friend that you know, that you like know, and you like know their person or their partner. Like it's a very, you know, in like that was very fun. We still laugh about that, and then but everyone, you know, luckily we all got to work together and have a lot of fun. Paul Wesley, who plays Stefan, it's just like everyone would always joke that we argue like an old married couple, and we're just very like, he's like an old grumpy man, and I'm just like, you know, a glittery like, be happy, you know, just trying to shake him into joy. And so we had a lot of fun together. And we get to see each other all the time because we do all these like conventions and stuff, which is so fun. But one of the main reasons why I'm still holding out on my 9-year-old watching the show is because I'm like, mommy kisses a lot of boys.
Yeah.
Fair.
And she's like, it's not like you don't have your clothes on. I was like, well,
sometimes it's that too.
Sometimes, but it's
other times where I rip open his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
His body,
violence.
almost all of his blood.
I know. I know.
And you met he wasn't at the time, but you met your fiance on set. True, right? Is that true?
No, that's what's so funny.
Wow.
So we never worked together. Steven was on, my fiance Steven was on The Originals, which is the spinoff of Vampire Diaries. So we know all the same people. We literally lived on the same street. We had so many shared experiences. And literally it was a couple of years ago, I was at we'd all traveled for a convention, and someone was like, oh yeah, everyone calls him Krueger. The Krueger's coming to dinner. And I was like, who? And they came, and I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Yellow Jackets. And because I'd been watching that, and everyone was like, no, you know him. Like he worked in, and no idea. And we didn't even like hang out or anything like that. But it wasn't until like, the following year we sat next to each other to dinner and actually got to know each other, because we actually had never really talked. He likes to say that I just don't remember meeting him a few times, but I think
sounds like that might be the case.
I mean,
which is better for you? I don't know.
All part of my master plan.
Yeah.
You know, the long game.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. That's so cool that you guys share that history without really sharing that history.
It's actually a bit like Adam Brody and Leighton Meester. They're from like the John Roberts, Stephanie Savage universe, the OC and Girl, but they never worked together.
It's a bizarre. Well, I think now I feel like
now
I've
they
seen them,
do,
but like in the days when you're in those experiences, it is very, very funny. Yeah, I just we obviously were very deep in our own lives, and or past relationships, and had very much our blinders on, and so I truly describe like sitting. I'd even like met him at that one thing and been like, oh, that's that guy. And it was just this weird feeling of like sitting next to him at dinner like a year later, and it's like the lights turned on, and I was like, that's interesting.
Sweet. Can you see yourselves working together in the future on any projects?
I think it'd be so fun. I admire couples that are able to work together. I've never done anything like that, but I think it would be really, really fun. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of life and creative to be had, but we'll see. Right now we're working on a 100-year-old house that I got. Yes, I made the decision to buy a 100-year-old house about like a little over 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So I roped him into that, where I'm like, if you think I'm a lot to handle, wait until you move in with me to my 100-year-old house.
I've heard isn't renovating a home, it's like one of the top, there's like moving cities or moving countries. There's like renovating a home. I feel like it's one of the top 5 things that can going to IKEA is probably another
Yes.
cause
Yes.
issues in a couple. Yeah,
Having
that's
children,
amazing.
Being married.
Being married, having children, breathing next to each other in bed without, at the right volume. Yes, all of these things collectively are equally stressful. But yes, we've been navigating it quite quite strong is what I would call it.
Good. Amazing.
Do you feel like I happen to my wife is not an actress, and I realized she was the first person I was with who wasn't, because in your world you meet people in your world, and that's you're with, right? And I actually very much appreciate that she's not, because it's like it's sort of a lifeline and a tether to a world outside of that world. But then I also know that the same thing can be true, is like there's such a unique what an actor does is a strange and particular and unique thing. And I wonder if you I don't know, if you have past partners who have been actors or what, but like do you find that there's a unique bond there where it's like you really know, especially because you aren't just actors, but you came from the same what would you call it now? Would you call it a franchise? What would you call it?
Yeah, I always call it like a trilogy, but I don't think that's the
Yeah,
right
trilogy
word.
sounds. Oh, that's about it. Saga. No, that's.
Yes.
But you come so much from the same experience. Is that something that you kind of cherish together, and or is it something that I don't know, that you don't even really talk about?
No, we definitely talk about it a lot. I don't think either of us, in the sense that neither of us really anticipated on entering into a long-term relationship with someone else in this industry, primarily because of its unpredictability. We're both pretty logical people, which feels very illogical to be in this business most days. There's a lot. We both grew up in Florida. Our families are very similar. And he actually was on track to becoming a lawyer and like took the LSATs but this was something that he's like, I'm just going to give it a shot. Like this is his passion. And so he applied all of his work ethic to, making his passion his life, and which is much more romantic than I think any of my descriptions of falling into this business and falling in love with it. But it wasn't, I think, intentional for either of us. And now we've kind of found ourselves in this conundrum of like, here we are, two people in this industry, but we both look at it as like, a job, a fun job, one that we love very much, but also a job, and that, family and friends and our quality of life together, and, in the sense of like cooking together and board games, and like what does the long game look like is what we both value. So I know, but I definitely didn't. Is your wife a doula? Is that correct?
That is correct. And a musician.
I
Is a doula.
I feel like I was a doula in another life. Each time I've been pregnant, I'm obsessed with pregnancy. Like if you were to look when I was pregnant, but both times, if you would have looked on my like YouTube pages or any sort of like, you would have thought I was into some weird stuff, like women self-birthing in kitchen, and I'd just be like, wow, what a badass. But I love doulas so much. They're incredible. They're angels.
And she is a particularly, like, doulas are amazing, and then Domino is on another level too, just as a person. So then as a doula, I can only imagine.
She belongs to a class of doulas where, like, some doulas are so experienced that they're like closer to a midwife, but then they have the bedside manner of like of a therapist and / like an acupuncturist masseuse. It's like they. So I have learned more about birth and about and about its implications, like, than I ever thought I would. And so I feel you. I mean, it's it's like it's almost like as deep as you want to take it, it goes there, because when you're giving birth, and I mean, it's just epic. It's and I'm not even saying that in a good or of course bad way. I mean, it's just so extreme, It's like what's when birth is happening, you're just like, whoa, why does no one talk about this more?
Yes, it's the coolest, most like feral. Like
Yeah.
it is. Yes, I know. My first birth, I ended up having to be transferred to the hospital, but I really wanted to experience an unmedicated birth just for my own.
Sure, yeah.
I just got in my head. But my second was like fully unmedicated. It happened very quickly. I gave birth in a
Wow.
COVID testing room, if that gives you any
Wow.
how
Oh
quickly.
my goodness.
She just came blind into the world. But I literally thought I was dying. I just remember like a nurse like jumping. The doctor didn't even make it into the room, and just like this
I
woman
know.
like burst through my legs and was like, "Get it together! Like, you can do it!"
Oh my
And
God.
I just like, and I like was able to do it. And I just remember like the second she came out, the first thing I did was like scream like, "I did it!" Like I just like yelled.
Aw.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Would you like to see your baby? I was like, "Oh yeah, that part too." Yes.
You're like, no,
No,
not
This is
yet.
about me.
I am woman. Like
Wow,
start roaring
that's
everywhere.
incredible.
But it's the coolest thing ever. I know. I feel like I'm like, did you guys ever see the movie Night Bitch? Did anyone watch Night Bitch?
I haven't seen that with Amy
I
Adams.
haven't seen it. I
I'm not
want to
gonna-
watch it so badly. I just haven't gotten around to
I
it. But I've
just-
seen there's like an amazing clip that went viral of her talking to this other mother in a supermarket
Yeah.
about postpartum.
It's the first
Yeah.
scene, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
She's
But-
so good. She's really, really good.
Yeah. But that just brought up, like, I remember watching that being like, yes. Like, I didn't know how to say anything else except this, yes. It's like the feral nature of it all. Anyway, that's just a whole other tangent. But your wife sounds awesome. And also, I love what she does. And that is very cool.
Yeah, she is awesome. She is great.
I do want to ask you a few questions about your new project.
Yes.
So it isn't out yet. So did a little research on the book. I don't know how much you're allowed to say. Obviously, the book is out. People can Google it. So I'll
Don't
ask you a
Google
little-
it. If you're
No,
going to
don't.
do
Don't.
anything, just
Don't Google
No
read it.
spoilers.
Okay, but so you may not be able to answer this question, Candice. I'm going to
If
ask
I
it and
can't
then you-
answer it, I will lie.
just to-
'Cause that's what it says
yeah.
on the back of the book. If anyone asks you about what happens in this book, just lie.
Okay,
Is that what
okay.
it says?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So I mean,
When I was-
not exactly, but I'm paraphrasing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Give
What
her
I was going to
take it.
ask you is, do you know whether or not it's meant to be a limited series or if there's going to be multiple seasons, and if the series is trying to be faithful to the book or if it kind of goes its own way, like Gossip Girl and many Pretty Little Liars, they kind of went their own way.
Yes, I can answer all of these questions. If for anyone who has read the book and fell in love with it as much as I did, it is very much the book. You will be transported to Beechwood Island. Like, you will fall in love with Gat alongside Cadence. You will feel dizzy and confused and want to know what the hell happened last summer. And the only thing that's probably changed in the story is that we just get to like expand other characters. You really get a sense for the other liars. You get to know the family a lot more, to help understand, why the rules and the laws of this island are the way they are. So like, for instance, like Bess Sinclair, the character I play of the Sinclair sisters, Mirren's mom, you wouldn't get to know her that well in the book, but you're going to see a lot more of her and the other aunts and get to know, the matriarch and the patriarch of the family, the Sinclairs as a whole, a lot more. So that's the way that it's really different from the book, which I think adds a lot to the story. And we would all love to see, another season of this because there are more books. So if you've read all of the books, there's possibility to really dive deeper. So, but we're just going to start. I'm just excited for everyone to see We Were Liars first and foremost.
Exciting. Okay, and what's your favorite thing? What was your favorite thing about playing Bess?
Oh, my favorite thing about playing Bess is that these are just some bougie people. Like, these are not necessarily like the best, morally the best family, but man, I want to, hang out at well, maybe I wouldn't hang out their house overnight, like for a long weekend, but maybe just go for like the afternoon. We were filming in Nova Scotia. It was meant to be Martha's like, Beechwood Island in the book is where this family goes to vacation every summer. And it's in the story, it's off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. And this is a very wealthy family. If you think like old school, like Kennedys or the Murdochs, it's like that kind of esteemed, they're they're known around the wealthier parts of America, and they're established. And so for them, they kind of retreat to this island and kind of hole up and keep very secret. So for us, we got to film in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and just recreate this like magical, wealthy world. So we were sitting on these beautiful beaches with these beautiful houses and these views and these sunsets, drinking like fake rosé, which was watered down hibiscus tea. And, it was delightful. And, such a wonderful cast. I got to work with Caitlin Fitzgerald and Mamie Gummer played the other Sinclair sisters. So the three of us just like bickering and like swirling our fake wines and like, gallivanting in the sunset down these like fancy exclusive beaches. What's not to love?
That sounds like a dream.
Yeah,
it was
does.
awesome. I mean, I think my fingers just stopped smelling like lobster pretty recently because
Oh my gosh.
I stayed down the street from this. I stayed close to this area called Chester, and they have this like old pub from like I want to say like the 17 or 18, like very, very old, but you could get lobster in a bucket because it's, there's lobster. There's literally a lobster shop in the airport in Halifax where you can take a lobster home, take a lobster to go. And I did not do that.
A live lobster?
I'm nodding my head yes for those who are listening. And pretty sure. But like I didn't go that far, but I would order the lobster in the bucket quite often, to my kids, both like enjoyment and like embarrassment. I love a food with an activity. I think it's fun.
Well, just based on the trailer, I'm pretty sure you're going to get to make multiple seasons. I think it's going to go.
Thanks. From your
It
mouth
looks
to
great.
God's ears. It'd be so much fun.
Nava had put in our like prep doc, like spoiler ahead, do not read if you're planning on watching it. I was like, I am absolutely planning on watching. Let me scroll past this real quick. Yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, it is there's such a, even just the story of how the book found its audience. It's like it was part of this whole like book talk trend in 2020, and actually, Karina McKenzie and Julie Plec, who I've been lucky enough to know for many, many years. Julie was the co-creator, executive producer of Vampire Diaries, and then Karina also did Roswell, New Mexico, but worked on the originals. So I've known these women for a long time, and they've wanted to bring this book to the screen for a decade and just like kept missing out on the opportunity because it'd been optioned or, kind of tossed around. And so, it just was this perfect kismet that like it found its bigger audience, with the book talk community in 2020. And then Julie and Karina were able to get their hands on it and bring it to the screen. So it's been very fun to hear about it for so many years and to be a part of it, kind of making its way into to my best friend, TV. So
Yeah,
it's great.
It's all full circle. Congratulations, Candice.
Thanks.
When you were saying book talk, I just realized that you don't often, you see it, book okay, or like cat talk, cat POV talk, or like whatever talk. And
Just so everybody knows, Penn is 100% on cat talk. He's on cat talk. He's on animal
POV
talk.
talk.
He's on turtle talk.
I need you to talk louder for my phone algorithm because I don't get TikTok. Like I feel like such like a millennial mom that like I get Instagram. I don't get TikTok. It stresses me out. It overwhelms me. Like I overthink trying to like look in the camera and like say the things like you guys crush it. Like you guys Podcrushed, you guys TikTok crush it. I'm taking notes and lessons from you with my content team. Just trying to
Thank you.
TikTok-y the best I
That's
can.
true, but it is. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't. We have stumbled and strategized our way into a great place, but whew,
It's a lot.
It is stressful. I mean, the amount of times I see people comment like, Oh, there was a millennial pause. It's like, let's
Yeah.
let
Like, I
us
couldn't
live.
Let us
okay?
live, mate.
Think
We're
of what to say
millennials.
for a moment. What do you want? Verbal diarrhea?
But also,
I
when people
know.
use millennial
Cool.
as an insult, I'm like, I'm literally a millennial. Why should I be offended by that?
I have heard that now
what I
Gen
am.
Z is now aging out. You know, it's happening
Yeah.
faster. And like Gen Z is no longer
Damn.
like the young, cool. And they're going to find out real quick.
They
Yeah.
always
It's
do.
like-
I'm like, you know what? You wear your big socks now, but one
Yeah.
day you're gonna be like me with your little ankle cutters because they're easier and they make your legs look longer. You're welcome. God.
It's so funny that really is a defining. I like the long socks, and I do it.
You're
'cause I
like,
to
thank
wear
God
white-
this came
I
back.
like to wear white shoes as well, like white slip-ons, which sounds weird, but I make it work. And it's funny that I like this past summer I was getting a lot of fashion nods from like 20-year-olds and I was like, I'm sure that I want to be nearly 40 and getting a lot of appreciation for how I'm dressing from 20-year-olds. I don't know, but
But I think
Yeah,
there's
it's like-
dignity in the authenticity because
Yeah.
I go to like an Aritzia and I'm like, I can do it. Like I can do it. I can get the socks and I'll wear them with tennis shoes and I put them in my suitcase to go like take cute pictures on my trip. And then the second they get there, no, I fold them under. I don't even I fold them under. I can't do it. I
So
can't do it.
the no-show sock really brings me back to being like in LA in the early 2000s. Like no one had ever thought about it, and suddenly we were all like, no, you cannot see the sock. You can't.
No, you never see the sock.
My teen years were just a long sock folded over the top of my sweaty foot. You know what I mean? Like it was,
I still do the sweaty fold over.
why did we think it was so important?
I
not to see?
know. It was like froyo and sweaty fold over socks, you know? That was like what really
What
yeah,
it's
established
defined
LA.
a whole generation.
And jean skirts and Uggs, you know? The good old
Oh my
years.
gosh.
The good old years.
Well, we've already naturally segued a little bit back to it, so we'll just offer you our last question. If you could go back to the 12-year-old Candice, what would you say or do?
Oh, you know, just it's not that serious. I've really been holding on to that a lot lately. I've been introduced to that as like a little mantra lately, and like it's not that serious. And not everyone is supposed to like you. It's not that serious, you know. Not everyone's supposed to get it. Not everyone's gonna get your joke, but someone will. And like, just hang out with those are your people. Then like that's okay. And yeah, because you desperate. It took a long time for 12-year-old Candice and like young Candice to not constantly worry about if what other people thought or if everyone like the likability factor and so just letting her off the hook a little bit. I think we can all do that for each other and ourselves.
I love that. We've never gotten that answer. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks,
You won.
guys. Woo! Okay, back at a type A
Likeable.
perfectionist. Yes, I did it.
You proved it to everybody.
But truly, thank you guys, and just congratulations on like all the podcast success. I know it's like it's a intense. It's hard to cut through the noise, and you guys have just done such a wonderful job, and it's so fun and like and truly, I know, like as cheesy as it is, like Penn, it's nice to see like good people succeed, but I also just love seeing good people succeed who also like tell everyone like we can all have fun. Like it's like, you keep it so fun with everything you do. And it's just like such a fucking breath of fresh air. So,
It's just in my nature to be light and have fun.
yeah.
It's just always been my vibe.
Just so laid back.
Well,
Great
that's what I see from the outside. So
You can watch We Were Liars on Amazon Prime now, and you can keep up with Candice King online at Candice King.
Podcrushed is hosted by Penn Badgley, Nava Kavalin, and Sophie Ansari. Our senior producer is David Ansari, and our editing is done by Clips Agency. Special thanks to the folks at Lemonada. And as always, you can listen to Podcrushed ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. Okay, that's all. Bye.
I remember even visiting Brittany when she was doing John Tucker Must Die when you guys were up there
Really?
in
Yeah.
Vancouver. I had my first Bellini. It was very exciting.
That was, yeah, you know what? That was the first time I ever heard of a Bellini. I remember that place being also for our diehard listeners and for Sophie and Nava. This is the same place where I ate Chad Michael Murray's
Oh my God.
Spit out edamames.
the first time I ever
Yeah.
had edamame. Didn't know that the shells had already been in other people's mouths, and so I reached into the bowl and I tried to eat it.
Yes.
It's like, what's happening?
So gross.
Part of me for a second was like, does this restaurant have like a specialty edamame for Chad Michael Murray? Because at the time that would have made sense.
You know what? At the time, they very well could have.